that your conduct must be honorable members of the National Assembly, honorable members of the National Council of Provinces, the former speakers of the legislature, former premiers of our province, all mayors, all speakers of municipalities in attendance, our esteemed guests from around the world, the media fraternity, and all our stakeholders from the various sectors within our province. And most importantly, honorable members and guests, you, the people of the Northern Cape, those present here with us, and not forgetting all our people that is tuned on our various platforms, radio stations, as well as social media platforms. A very warm welcome to you all to the final session of the 6th administrative term of this current legislature. It certainly is a great pleasure to have you in our midst, our deputy ministers, our foreign representatives from China, Netherlands, the United States of America, Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, and our neighboring country of Lesotho, as well as Zimbabwe. We are honored by your presence and most importantly value the sound relations that exist amongst our respective governments. This year marks a milestone of 30 years of democracy, a democracy that has yielded positive outcomes for our province. We are proud as the 6th legislature for living up to our vision of being a modern, inspirational, responsive, proactive and activist legislature, advancing the aspirations of the people of the Northern Cape even beyond our borders. I am pleased with the magnitude of our audience who have converged here and all eager to hear our honorable premier's address this morning. Without any further delay, honorable members, I officially welcome you all to one of the most prominent sessions on the legislature's calendar and hereby officially declare the session open. Thank you very much, honorable members and all our guests. Honorable members, we will allow the media to take photos during the first 10 minutes of the Premier's State of the Province address. The Premier's teleprompter controller is admitted and will be seated next to the stage when the Premier delivers his speech. The broadcasters may remain in attendance without interference with the proceedings of the House. Ons jaag julle nou nie weg nie. Honorable members, in terms of Rule 14.2, I received communication from the Premier that the legislature of the province of the Northern Cape be summoned to assemble to enable him to deliver his State of the Province address on this 29th day of February. In terms of Section 110, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, read with Rule 14 of the Standing Rules of the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature. Honorable members, no other business will be dealt with, and that only the annual address in terms of Rule 14 will be dealt with today. In line with the recent amendment to the Joint Rules of Parliament and pursuant to Rule 2 of the Standing Rules, I would want to frame the following rule: that no member is allowed to interrupt the Premier while delivering his State of the Province address. Honorable members, let me then now invite the Honorable Premier Dr. Zamani Saul to deliver his State of the Province address to this esteemed House. Thank you, Honorable Premier.
Okay. Thank you very much. As Speaker of the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature, Ms. Nurin Cluster, and the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Mangaliso Matika, the Deputy Chair of the NCOP, Ms. Sylvia Lucas. She's also here. She's my predecessor. You also once presented your last State of the Province address, and I'm certain you know how it feels. We've got some ministers in our midst. Minister of Public Service and Administration, Minister Nokolo Kivit, Deputy Minister for Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Mr. Elvin Bootes. We've got also Deputy Minister of Small Businesses, Ms. Dipuo Peters, who's also my predecessor. She was the Premier here in the province for the 4th administration. So we've got both premiers for the 4th and the 5th administration in here. So I will always ensure that I attend the next States of the Province address, so that the 6th Premier, the Premier of the 6th administration should always be marked by his presence. And I'm greatly honored by your presence. Many people don't understand us when we say we stand on the shoulders of giants. These are the 2 giants that steered the ship before me. That is the reason why I can stand here with a great sense of confidence. We also have members of the Northern Cape Provincial Executive Council, the MEC, the colleagues I served with, the Chief Whip, Newo Manning, the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Harold McGlure, the Leader of the EFF, Mr. Shadrach Taule. They've submitted an apology for these proceedings today because of urgent organizational tasks that they had to execute. Leader of the Freedom Front Plus, Umdani Kutia, And I took time to recognize the presence of opposition parties to this very important event, because my sense tells me that the reconstitution of this legislature after the elections on the 29th of May will just stay the same. Will just stay the same. Yeah. There won't be any other parties that will be added. The other parties will continue protesting outside and will be inside. Members of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, and members of the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature, Chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders, Khosi Pilonomi Toto, and all our traditional leaders, thank you very much for being part and parcel of these proceedings. We've got members of the diplomatic corps. I was told we've got about 19 countries that are part and parcel of these proceedings. The Judge President of the Northern Cape High Court Division, Judge Pule Tlaletsi, Heads of State Security Services. And this morning, I had breakfast with two beautiful ladies, very powerful ladies. It's Commissioner of the Correctional Services, Commissioner Moodley. She's here, and the Provincial Commissioner of the Police, Lieutenant General Otola. These are women in charge. The chairperson of the South African Local Government Association in the Northern Cape, mayors and councillors, traditional leaders, heads of state institutions supporting our constitutional democracy, the Director General and heads of department and government officials. The Provincial Secretary of the ANC is also here, and I want to greet all leaders of political parties, leaders of the Alliance and Mass Democratic Movement formations, leaders of organized labor, business leaders, members of the media, distinguished guests, fellow citizens of the Northern Cape, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Speaker, it is my distinct honor to deliver to this House the State of the Province address today, in a year in which we commemorate the 30th anniversary of the democratic South Africa. That is a watershed moment in the struggle for political and economic freedom for all South Africans, particularly the black majority. This is a moment that faces us to reflect on our path that began on April 27, 1994, when many South Africans nationwide casted their votes for the first time. A vote that resulted in the birth of the Northern Cape Province as one of the 9 provinces that constitute the Republic of South Africa. Madam Speaker, this is indeed an important year in the life of our promising constitutional order. Besides the 30th anniversary, South Africans will go to the polls on the 29th of May, and I take this opportunity to encourage every resident of the Northern Cape to engage in this noble exercise of democracy by casting their votes. I am very optimistic that voter turnout on election day will exceed expectations, as many young people have registered to exercise their democratic right. They call these elections the elections for young people because of the increased numbers of young people that went and registered to vote. Madam Speaker, this year I was one of the participants in the debate on SONA and highlighted that in 2020, the country and the entire world was engulfed by the COVID-19 pandemic. That same year, our Honorable President likened gender-based violence and femicide to a second pandemic confronting our country. With these upcoming elections, we are confronted by a third pandemic, which is called memory loss. In Afrikaans, hulle sê, is geheueverlies. The character Tintswalo that the President spoke about serves to us as a reminder that despite all the challenges that the country is faced with, there are serious progress that we have made. Tintswalo demonstrates the cumulative impact of government policy interventions. This character represents the real-life story of success of many young people from impoverished background in our province. These are young people who benefited from the rollout of the various services since 1994, such as free access to healthcare, free basic services, free basic education, school nutrition, grants, free access to housing, and tertiary education funding. Today, in our midst, we have about 20 young people who identify with the character Tintswalo. These are young people whom, with the assistance of the various government intervention programs, are now respected professionals and are making a positive contribution to society. Where are our young Tintswalos that we have invited here? They are seated right all over here. That we have invited here. There are some of them that side. Amongst them, Madam Speaker, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have engineers and educators. We will continue to tell the story of Tintswalo because it is a story of this democracy. A good story to tell that resonates with the lives of many young people in the Northern Cape. Madam Speaker, as we meet here today in Kimberley, we are aware of the challenges that are faced by Seperepere municipality in recent years. One amongst them is the water interruptions due to backlogs in maintenance of aging and inadequate infrastructure. Over the years, the municipality was faced with an inadequate budget that hindered its ability to properly maintain, repair, refurbish, or strengthen its water infrastructure. The municipality has put in place a plan of action to address these challenges. We are happy to announce that this year, National Treasury has approved a funding of 2.5 billion through the budget facility for infrastructure. This allocation is aimed at addressing all these water infrastructure challenges. This funding will enable the municipality to embark on a comprehensive plan to upgrade the infrastructure, reduce water losses, and enhance water quality. Linked to this is our program to accelerate housing delivery in Seperepere municipality. In addition to the 365 million rand Hall Street housing project that I announced in 2022 SOPA and is now under construction, an additional 1,000 houses will be built in this municipality starting from next month. In partnership with Kapa Mining, Seperepere municipality is working on the implementation of a renewable energy project amounting to 2.4 billion rand. And the during the implementation of that project, 400 job opportunities will be created. Madam Speaker is host to the SOPA University, a new university which just celebrated its 10th anniversary and continues to play a very important in providing quality higher education, training, research and innovation in the province and the country at large. This year, SPU experienced the largest intake of first-year students since its inception, with more than 2,000 first-year students, from an initial intake of 124 students in 2014. Enrollment has now grown to over 5,000 students this year. What distinguishes this university from other universities is the fact that SOPA is an investment made by this democratic government. This investment makes it possible for Kimberley to diversify its economic outlook from a mining city to a university city. Madam Speaker, in 2019, we articulated a vision for the province, and we've always mentioned it that this is not an unguided drift, where everybody is going his or her own direction. We've articulated a vision, and our minimum expectations was that each and every one of us in the public service must abide by that vision. And the vision was to build a modern, growing, and successful province. Driven by this vision, we successfully mobilized our stakeholders for support to steer the province to greater heights. Ladies and gentlemen, we now stand on the cusp of a binding vision that all of us can claim ownership of. During my inaugural address, I highlighted the tenets of a modern, growing, and successful province. In line with this vision, over the past few years, we have shown our commitments towards addressing the challenges faced by our province. As a result, we are approaching the end of the 6th administration with greater optimism. This is but just the end of a term and not the end of the incumbency of the governing party. I think I need to explain this again. Our constitutional democracy, in terms of parliamentary and legislature representation, works with terms. When Mani became the premier in 1994, that was called the first term. And this is the last term, the 6th term. It's the end of the term. It's not the end of the ANC governing. So there's a 7th term that is coming. And with that 7th term, you'll still get the same colors governing. Madam Speaker, the ANC as a governing party have worked relentlessly over the past 30 years to fundamentally alter the quality of lives of our people in the Northern Cape. As reflected in the Human Development Index and the Census 2022 report, it is evident that we have achieved a lot. HDI is the combination of 3 basic dimensions of human development. A long and healthy life, 1, knowledge, 2, and decent standards of life or living. In 1995, the HDI for South Africa was 0.66, and that was an indication of a medium human development, and now it is standing at 0.727, which is a high human development. During the past 5 years in the Northern Cape, there has been a noticeable increase in the Human Development Index, and the Northern Cape is now one of the 6 provinces in the country with an HDI above 0.7. This reflects the strides that we have made in improving the quality of public education, public health, and household incomes. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we have indeed improved the quality of public education, and all indicators attest to that. The proportion of persons aged 5 to 24 years who attended an education institution increased from 64.2% to 70.3% in 2022 in the Northern Cape. This represents the largest increase in attendance observed in all provinces. The percentage of persons aged 20 years and older with no schooling in the Northern Cape declined from 22.7% to 6.7% in 2022. I want to take this opportunity to demonstrate what this means. With the 2019 elections, if there are 10 people who are standing in a queue to go and vote, the IEC official will have to help 3 of them on how to cast their votes because they could not read and write. But with these elections, when there are 10 people standing in a queue to go and cast their votes, the IEC official will have to help only 1 out of the 10. That is bringing back the dignity of our people. We have a total number of 554 public schools, including 11 special needs education schools, which accommodate about 310,000 learners this year. The number of educators have increased from 9,200 to 10,000 in 2024. This all demonstrates our commitment to improve the quality of public education. Madam Speaker, the school nutrition program has a total of 276,000 beneficiaries, which means that 90% of our learners receive a nutritious meal at our schools every day. Our grade 12 results show a positive growth in that in 2020, our matric pass rate was 66%. In 2021, it was 71.4%. In 2022, it was standing at 74.2%. And last year, it was standing at 75.8%. If you count this growth cumulatively, it represents 10% increase in our grade 12 results during the term of the 6th administration. Madam Speaker, we noted with excitement the improvement in the quality of grade 12 results from poor schools. Learners from no-fee paying schools accounted for 50% of the total bachelor passes obtained in 2023. That thing that Lokasi school are not performing, we are busy making it something of the past. 50% of bachelor passes is from township schools. Township schools. Between 2019 and 2023, the number of quintile 1 to 3 learners with bachelor passes increased with 10%. This success is significant as the quality of the NSC pass determines access to bursaries or loans for further studying at tertiary institutions. The sixth administration built 19 new state-of-the-art schools to the value of 600 million rand, and 8 are now completed. Since 2019, we spent more than 274 million rand for refurbishment, upgrades, and maintenance work to 167 schools. Very importantly, in our program for sanitation upgrades, which benefited 74 schools. We call on all our communities to continue to partner with us to promote the best interest of our schools and strive to ensure that our schools remain institutions of quality learning and teaching. You are therefore encouraged to form part of the school governing bodies elections that starts on the 1st of March this year. We thank all outgoing SGBs for their selfless commitment and their contribution in the governance of our schools in the province. Every time, Honorable Speaker, when I visit these schools that have attained 100% pass rate, there's one strong feature in all those schools. It's parents' involvement. In all those schools that attains 100% pass rate, it's parents that makes that possible. Parents become an integral part of the school. They are part of the life of the school. So if you're a parent and you ignore that very critical role that communities must play an active role in the life of a school and expect good results from that school, you are busy dreaming. Schools that perform good, it's schools where parents are actively involved. So the elections of the school governing bodies is starting on the 1st of March, and we want to invite parents from the Northern Cape to get actively involved in that process. Madam Speaker, we have indeed improved access to the provision of public health services in the province, and all indicators attest to that. People who are attacking the record of this government, they don't come up with credible indicators. They don't say, you are not doing well because here's the information. They don't say that. Because they want to hide these indicators. People must not know about them. The overwhelming majority of Northern Cape households continue to use public health system as their first port of call. We are one of the provinces with the highest percentage of people who are using public health. About 85% of Northern Capers are using public health. The health profile has gradually increased in the Northern Cape, with life expectancy increasing for both males and females. Males saw an increase from 51 years to 58 years in 2023. Every male inside here is likely to live up until you are 58 years old. About 5 years back, it was 51 years. We've managed to increase it to 58 years. Females saw an increase from 56 to 65 years during the same period. So all the females who are inside here, you are likely to live up until you are 65 years old. But 5 years back, it was only 56. So all of us as men here, we are going to leave our spouses behind. Madam, no, honorable member, the leader of the opposition, 65. It's for women. And you're a man unless there is something that we don't know. Honorable Speaker, the infant mortality in facility rate decreased from 17.3% per 1,000 live births to 16.1%. We still have a lot to do. What this means is that for every 1,000 live births, 16 of those babies don't live long. Something that we need to work very hard on and ensure that we improve this performance. The maternal mortality rate was 109 deaths for every 100,000 mothers in 2019, and it's now reduced to 80 deaths for every 100,000 mothers in 2023. That is, I need to explain this. We are not thumb-sucking here. We are giving figures of the work that we have done. 5 years back, if at Robert Sobukwe Hospital, you had 100,000 mothers who went there to give birth, about 109 of them won't survive. Today, if 100,000 mothers get into Robert Sobukwe to give birth, it's only 80% that won't survive. That's almost a reduction with 20, from 109 to 80. This constitutes a major achievement against the Sustainable Development Goals. Madam Speaker, the improvement in healthcare provision to our people can largely be attributed to the quality and access to health services in our healthcare facilities across the province. We have a total of 513 medical officers, those are doctors in the province, of which 293 are based in Robert Sobukwe Hospital here in Kimberley. The department has a total of 2,539 nurses in different categories, which are spread across the province. To further strengthen our nursing capacity, the Department of Health continues to fund nurses to improve their skills. Due to the decisive manner in which we managed the COVID-19 pandemic, the Northern Cape experienced the least number of deaths in the country. The improved case facility rate is a result of better patient care in our health facilities, including early treatment-seeking behavior by the communities. The HIV positivity rate declined from 4.5% in 2018 to 2.4% in 2023. Care and treatment for people living with HIV and retention of patients in antiretroviral treatment therapy has improved significantly. And the number of people on treatment increased from 62,000 in March 2021 to 68,000, representing 10% increase. Madam Speaker, since 2019, we have procured 146 new and better equipped ambulances, 50 patient transport vehicles, and 6 emergency rescue vehicles. All to the value of more than 200 million rand. This has enabled us to improve our EMS response time to 80% for rural and urban areas. This is consistent with the national target set for 80%. We remain committed to improving the quality and access to healthcare in the province. In this regard, we will make more resources available for healthcare infrastructure, ambulances, patient transport, staffing, and medication. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I have another special guest in the gallery. It's Ntate Sarah Mohudi. He should be here. He's my special guest today. There he is. Can we give Ntate Sarah a nice round of applause? Ntate Sarang turned 100 years last month. That was on the 4th of January. And I know the Deputy Chair, Sylvia Lucas, and the Deputy Minister, and Elvin, and Deputy Minister, Peter, they forgot to buy him some gifts. So you remain indebted to Ntate Cyril. Ntate Sarang lived 70 years of his life under apartheid colonialism and 30 years in democracy. His life encapsulates the past. It also encapsulates the transition that took place in the early 90s, and as well as the present. He got his first old age grant when he turned 65 in 1989. Because he was black, he only received R1, 131 rand once in 2 months. This amount was by far less than the 372 rand that was received by his white peers on a monthly basis. In 1994, the Democratic government removed this injustice. And all old age grant beneficiaries, irrespective of their race, received the same amount, 390 rand, every month. And now it's standing at 2,100 rand. This is but just one incident of the history of racial injustice that the Democratic government had to deal with. Madam Speaker, I was at the National Parliament, listened to all the debates, and some apprehension which lots of members of Parliament, and particularly opposition, had about Tintswalo. But one thing we don't talk about is that every white person born before 1994 was a Tintswalo of privileges of a white minority government. Every white person. What the white minority government did, created special privileges for white people. That is the reason why today, they command the best opportunities in this country. That is intergenerational benefits thereof. So there were Tintswalos before 1994. We are not starting something new. There were Tintswalos before 1992 who were beneficiaries of racial privileges. There were Tintswalos. So there is nothing new about us creating our Tintswalos and also creating a social wage system that seeks to empower those who were previously disadvantaged. Madam Speaker, social assistance through grant has been this democratic government's most effective poverty reduction tool. In comparison, the number of social grant beneficiaries increased from 66,000 in 1994, and today we've got about 540,000 social grant beneficiaries in the Northern Cape, and we are not apologetic about that. As of August 2021, 150,000 unemployed people benefited from the social relief of distress at a value of 1.5 billion in the past 3 years, right here in the Northern Cape. The implementation of pro-poor policies by this government is beyond question and is unparalleled. On top of all these interventions, we have more than 267,000 learners benefiting from the National School Nutrition Program, 26,000 benefiting from learner transport, and 74% of the schools declared as no-fee schools. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, according to the latest quarterly labor force survey released by Stats SA, the unemployment rate for the Northern Cape is still the second lowest in the country. Job increases were recorded in the following sectors: agriculture, mining, and renewable energy. The number of employed persons during the second quarter of 2020 was 255,000. And now, in 2023, we have 329,000 employed people in the province, which is the highest ever. As we woke up this morning, preparing ourselves to come to the State of the Province address, 329,000 people in the Northern Cape went to work. And this province has never experienced such a figure. This represents 74,000 increase in the number of people employed. As we move forward into the 7th administration, we need to strengthen our response to unemployment and create more jobs for the people of the Northern Cape. So in June, after the elections on the 29th of May, I will be standing here, Honorable Megloa, giving an account of the work that we are going to do to strengthen our response to unemployment in the province, to build on the work that we've already done. I'll be standing here in June. For the 7th administration. Madam Speaker, when the 6th administration assumed office in 2019, the provincial economy was estimated at 119 billion rand, and it is now estimated at 148 billion as of 2023, highlighting an increase of 29.6 billion rand in 4 years. This growth in the GDP demonstrates the collaborative efforts by the provincial government and the private sector to grow the economy of the province. The resurgence in the provincial economy during 2021 was at the back of a robust mining sector, which recorded growth of around 18%, largely due to surge in commodity prices and the investment in renewable energy. Madam Speaker, the provincial government is the province's single biggest procurer of goods and services. Through preferential procurement, we are contributing towards redressing the economic imbalances of the past, as well as stimulating and promoting local economic development. The total spend on goods and services by the 6th administration accounts to 25.9 billion. The preferential procurement spending on women-owned suppliers amounts to 5 billion rand, which means what went to women from the 25 billion rand in procurement, public procurement by the provincial government, is 5 billion, which is 9.3%. Youth-owned enterprises, it's 1.5 billion, which is 5%. And people living with disabilities is 51 million rand, and spending on black-owned suppliers amounts to 15 billion rand, which is 58% of the total spent by the provincial administration. The provincial government has spent an amount of 13.8 billion on small businesses, aiming to advance economic growth and employment in the province. Which means from what we spent, 25 billion rand, more than half thereof went to small businesses, because we appreciate the contribution that small businesses, or SMMEs, can make in ensuring that there's vibrancy, dynamism in the local economy. This commitment to empowering our local suppliers continues by ensuring that suppliers are paid timeously for services rendered within 30 days, and in most instances, less than 30 days. Madam Speaker, these figures prove that our democratic dispensation is on a positive trajectory in changing the lives of the people of the Northern Cape. We have observed improvements in access to basic services, with the province's performance for access to water, electricity, and sanitation consistently being above the national average. This is further reflected in the Census 2022 report, which indicates that the number of households with formal dwellings in the Northern Cape increased from 78% to 85%. The total number of households that have access to on-site piped water increased to 82% in 2022. The percentage of households that had no access to piped water in the province declined from 19.7% to 8.7% in 2022. The total amount of households that had access to electricity as a main source of lighting increased to 92.5% in 2022. All the municipalities in the Northern Cape have more than 80% of their households having access to electricity as a main source of lighting in 2022. The total number of households in the Northern Cape that have access to flush toilets increased to 73% in 2022. This indicates a huge improvement in the provision of basic services. Madam Speaker, in our pursuit to modernize the province, we stated that such a province must have connected residents. The internet is a vital resource to access information and to communicate with others. Household access to the internet from anywhere in the Northern Cape increased from 16.2% in 2010 to 68% in 2022. Broadband generation in the Northern Cape is currently standing at 70%. Madam Speaker, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, last year we announced the close to 1 billion rand investment in broadband infrastructure and base stations by our operators, Vodacom, Telkom, MTN, as well as the work on the development of the provincial broadband strategy. I'm certain that we do have representatives here from Vodacom, from Telkom, and as well as from MTN. And we need to appreciate the work that they are doing here in the Northern Cape. Because in 2 years, they've invested close to 1 billion rand on putting broadband infrastructure and also improving the capacity of their base stations. Now people in deep rural areas in the Northern Cape can use their phones can use their smart gadgets. They can communicate and interact with the world seamlessly. So these three operators, they've played a very important role in our move to modernize the province. Because we said when we modernize Northern Cape, we must ensure that we've got connected residences. I went with the MEC for Finance to an area called Nuniput last year, around March. Nuniput, deep rural area in ZF Mkawo region. In January, those people had mobile network for the first time. They said to us, we hear you speaking of so many services, but we appreciate the fact that we can use our smart devices here in this rural area. And that is due to the social compact that we have created with private sector, that developing the Northern Cape is our collective responsibility. You do business here, you must invest here in the province. So we are pleased to announce that we have completed the broadband strategy and the development of an implementation plan is underway. Madam Speaker, we have conceptualized a digital-to-song app, and I am happy to announce the completion of phase 1 of the development. On completion of this project, it will put under one roof the online services of the various government departments. Honorable Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 5 years, we have made significant strides with modernizing the education and health sector in the province. Education in the Northern Cape experienced groundbreaking transformation over the past 5 years in an era marked by rapid technological advancements. We have introduced an online registration system, and this makes placement of learners seamless. To date, all 554 public ordinary schools in the Northern Cape, including 11 special needs education schools, have connectivity for administrative purposes. We are continuing through the South Africa Connect program to connect schools for teaching and learning. To date, a total of 98 schools in Pixley-Kaseme district have been connected. Efforts are underway to ensure that all schools are connected for teaching and learning in our province. As part of modernizing our education system, 12,000 tablets loaded with offline EduKite software were distributed to grade 12 learners last year. This year, we are expanding the program with the procurement of tablets for grade 10 and grade 11 learners, which will commence on the 1st of April 2024. We are making our learners smart and future ready. A total of 173 schools have been identified for the coding and robotics pilot project, of which 15 are between grades R to 3, 111 are between grades 4 to 7, and 47 are between grade 8 to 9. 5 classrooms, 1 in each district, have been converted into cyber labs and fitted with state-of-the-art 4IR equipment, including coding, robotics, and virtual reality resources. Madam Speaker, libraries play a crucial role in society for access to free educational resources, safe sanctuaries for learning, economic support, language learning, and much more. To date, 215 out of 223 of our libraries in the province have access to internet, and you've got free Wi-Fi there at those libraries. And this is a major achievement, having our libraries as Wi-Fi hotspots. I'm certain in many of our communities you can see how young people after school congregate in those libraries in order for them to do their schoolwork. Because many of them are coming from poor families where they don't have access to such services. Madam Speaker, in pursuing e-health, we have connectivity to 91 of all our health facilities. An electronic dispatch system at 2 EMS call centers has been initiated. The Pochilo app will be used for vehicle training system in ambulances. We want to use this app in order to track down where our ambulances are. Because currently we are sitting with a major problem of abuse of ambulances by emergency personnel here in the Northern Cape. So this app will enable us to account on each and every one of them. If an emergency worker took an ambulance into the field to do his own thing with that ambulance, we'll be able to see that. Yeah, we'll be able to see that. So that in most cases, when people phone for emergency response, ambulances are not known where they are. In 2018, we moved from manual systems to various automated hospital systems, which assist to manage revenue, patient visits, and tracking patients from where they receive the services and avoid the patient duplicating access to healthcare services. Madam Speaker, through the Valarts Agricultural Distribution Center and Farm Smart Technology, the province intends to organize and structure support, logistics, and marketing hub, utilizing modernized technologies for increased access to high-yield markets for emerging farmers as well as selected commercial farmers. Madam Speaker, our total spending on public infrastructure, which includes hospitals, clinics, schools, libraries, roads, and human settlements since 2019 to date, it's 14.8 billion rand. This reflects an unprecedented level of spending on infrastructure in the province. Madam Speaker, road infrastructure remains the province's priority to create seamless access to economic opportunities and improve people's mobility. We reported in the SOPA last year that process has been finalized to take some of our roads, which is 952 kilometers, to Sandra. And currently, Sandra has got a footprint in the province of 4,409 kilometers of roads. And all our roads that we gave over to Sandra, they stop and goes now. You go to Uppington, they stop and goes. You go this side to Hopetown, they stop and goes. That's the work that Sandra is currently doing, because we handed over some of these roads to them because they've got better capacity to maintain national and provincial roads. Madam Speaker, since the implementation of the Operation Valazonke program, to date, the province can report that 23,334 potholes have been fixed. And this was achieved through the utilization of the internal maintenance teams. Since 2019, through the Human Settlement Development Grant, we have invested almost 1.5 billion to provide housing to our people. This commitment to providing quality housing is evident in the bold step that we have undertaken to pilot a unique funding model that enabled us to launch the 1 billion rand housing project, which is the single biggest housing investment in the Northern Cape. This will accelerate the pace of the provision of houses to the poor. The 1 billion rand housing project is based on the fact that there are approximately 18,000 service sites ready for the construction of houses right throughout the province. Through the implementation of key catalytic projects, which includes, amongst others, Namakwa Special Economic Zone, that will be launched now in April, May this year, Buhu Bay, Seperepere Port, the Green Hydrogen Project, and the Katu Industrial Park, we will ensure that our objective of growing the economy is realized. In preparation for our port development, we have sent 5 young people from the province to Vietnam to study marine engineering at the Maritime University. Those 5 young people left the province just 2 weeks ago to study in Vietnam. We are preparing skills, building skills towards these mega projects that we are going to implement. Madam Speaker, the Honorable President, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, initiated the annual Presidential Investment Conference to realize about 1.2 trillion investment over 5 years. Since its inception in 2018, to date, 1.4 trillion worth of investment has been realized by South Africa. A substantial amount of this investment was made in the Northern Cape, which amounted to 70 billion rand, with key investments in energy and mining sectors. Major investments in the province thus far include, amongst others, commitments and investments made by Vedanta, PMG, Orion, Unigreen, Scatec, Aqua, just to mention few. The Northern Cape is at the forefront of driving investment in green energy. As a province, we have launched a green hydrogen master plan. This highlights the need for substantial infrastructure development, leveraging the province's renewable energy resources and strategic location to drive economic growth and exports. A noteworthy milestone is the completion of the pre-feasibility study with very positive results. The pre-feasibility study on the green hydrogen plant in Namakwa has been finalized, and it's got positive results that could be one of the major investment projects here in South Africa. Madam Speaker, through focused partnership efforts in key areas, we have, together with mining houses, made significant strides, investing about 690 million in education, healthcare, environmental sustainability, economic development, water and infrastructure enhancement, as well as roads. We've invited also the chief executive officers and owners of the mines in the Northern Cape to be part and parcel of this event, just to express our heartfelt word of gratitude for their investments in the Northern Cape, not only focusing on their operations, but ensuring that we improve the quality of public education and as well as public health. Madam Speaker, the South African government is in the process of commercializing cannabis. To date, there are 9 hemp permit applications from the Northern Cape, and 4 have been approved for hemp permits. It is expected that the number of hemp permit holders from the Northern Cape will increase with time. So people see a massive opportunity in this, and we are inundated with applications. So we'll have farms around the province on hemp, and we firmly believe that will contribute towards growing the economy of the Northern Cape. Madam Speaker, the Northern Cape is leading the way in land reform in South Africa. Since 1994 to date, I think I need to explain this. Since 1994 to date, 1.6 million hectares of land have been redistributed to the value of 1.6 billion rand, benefiting 1,183 women and 711 young people. With regard to land restitution, 658,000 hectares of land were given to our communities, benefiting 26,000 households. So in total, Madam Speaker, about 4 billion rand of land purchases took place in the Northern Cape. And about 2.3 million hectares were purchased for the previously disadvantaged. Madam Speaker, on land tenure, we have secured tenure rights for the communities of Liliesfontein, Concordia, and Rechtersveld through the transformation of Central Rural Areas Act, what we call the STRANCRA. 551,000 hectares have been transferred to the affected communities. Madam Speaker, since 2021, the province has experienced an outbreak of wildfires, especially in ZFM, JTG, and Francis Bar districts. The intergovernmental relations of all stakeholders, including national departments, have greatly improved to the extent that the province now has a fire protection association in all districts registered by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. As the province, we have assisted affected farmers with fodder from our fodder bank. Madam Speaker, since 2019 to date, the implementation of EPWP Phase 4 resulted in the province creating 84,594 jobs. By quarter 3, 2023-24, against 5-year target of 104,000 jobs. Similarly, we have exceeded our target for the Community Works Program for the period 2019 to 2023 with performance at 103% and a total of 76,000 job opportunities created. To address the issue of youth unemployment and building on achievements of expanded public works program, government introduced the presidential employment stimulus 3 years ago. To this end, as a province, we have appointed 26,000 young people. Furthermore, the Northern Cape Provincial Government, in partnership with SETAs, continues to provide young people with skills development programs such as internships, learnerships, artisanships, apprenticeship, work-integrated learning and skills program. Together with Mersita, we will be launching the skills development and bursary program amounting to 210 million rand, benefiting 2,000 young people. This program will be launched on the 10th of March. Adverts went out, shortlist took place, and 2,000 young people have been appointed to be part of this program. And we are going to launch it on the 10th of March. I know some would say it's elections. Yeah, but the sad part is we don't stop to be government up until elections. Since 2019, our partnership with SETAs benefited a total of 14,800 young people in the province. To improve coordination and to ensure that we offer bursaries to deserving students in line with the scarce and critical skills needed for the economy of the province, a centralized bursary model was adopted by this administration, and bursaries were located within the Office of the Premier. This resulted in the writing off of student debt to the value of 154 million rand, which was awarded through study loans. So with the Premier's Transversal Bursary Fund, we don't have debtors. Those students who finished their degrees, who owed us 154 million rand, we've written off that debt so that they can start their lives on a clean slate. Through our centralized bursary scheme, we have now assisted about 530 beneficiaries. All of these combined efforts have resulted in a steady decrease in youth not in employment, education, and training in the Northern Cape. Madam Speaker, the Northern Cape Construction Company was launched in August 2022 with 50 employees selected for a SETA learnership program covering road construction level 3. Currently, 38 employees remain in the program. What we do after we've trained these employees, they actually get stolen by these construction companies because they've got skill, and we are not regretting that, because it's our responsibility to train young people to become more competitive. From mid-April 2023 to December 2023, they've been busy fixing potholes, and particularly here in Kimberley. This first intake will shortly conclude with an enterprise mentorship program, where the second intake will be in the next financial year. Madam Speaker, as this sixth administration, we have committed ourselves to sound and prudent financial management and governance. In 2019, we inherited 2 clean audits, 7 financially unqualified and 4 unqualified audit opinions. Through deliberate efforts, we turned the situation around and can now report the following progress. There are now 5 clean audits in the provincial administration, which accounts to 150% improvement on what we've inherited. 2 departments, namely economic development and tourism, and education, which we inherited in the qualified audit space, have improved. The Department of Education, a key service delivery department, which accounts for about 35% of our provincial budget, improved from qualified to financially unqualified during the 6th administration. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, through our term, we ensured no provincial department was in a disclaimer audit space. For the past 3 years, there's not been a single department, not even a government agency, that got a disclaimer. Yeah, they always say victory has got lots of parents, and defeat is an orphan. Yeah, everybody claims victory. So we agree it's because of the work of the DA that we've managed to improve our audit outcomes. This attainment inspires confidence in the management of provincial finances. We could only achieve this because of our unwavering commitment to cut to the executive frills and wastages in the system. We, as the Executive Council in the Northern Cape, we've forgone many things, which MECs and members of the executive in other provinces are benefiting. And all of that was to ensure that we've got a better financial outlook in the Northern Cape. That is the reason why, for the 3 past financial years, we closed the exchequer account on a positive bank balance. When we close our exchequer account in March next month, it will be on a positive bank balance. It's not negative. Madam Speaker, in terms of the municipal audit outcomes 2021-2022, the province has noted improvement in the audit outcomes of municipalities since the start of the sixth administration. The number of municipalities with clean audits increased from 1 to 4 from 2018-2019 to 2021-2022. Furthermore, the number of municipalities with disclaimers reduced from 7 to 4 in the same period. Throughout the years, clean audits were only achieved by district municipalities. However, Hanta municipality changed the narrative by becoming the first local municipality in the province to obtain a clean audit for 2 consecutive years. The audit for 2022-2023 cycle is currently ongoing, and the province is looking forward to achieving even better. We continue to strive to maintain the positive trajectory on improved audits through the Operation Clean Audit, which steers integrated improvements coupled with targeted intervention through the municipal support intervention plans. Already, we have seen an improvement between 2020 and 2022 financial year on the state of local government. Furthermore, improvements will be supported through multidisciplinary team, including of SOEs, government departments, and SALGA for a focused support to municipalities. We have remained committed to reducing corruption, and to this end, we have embarked on lifestyle audits across the provincial departments in conjunction with the Special Investigation Unit. As part of our fight against corruption in the public service, several people are facing charges and others have been convicted. Ladies and gentlemen, we have demonstrated our collective efforts in the fight against corruption. The establishment of the provincial SIU offices is our clearest demonstration of our commitment to fight the scourge of corruption. And I'm certain all of you can see the SIU is very busy in the Northern Cape. The SIU was not imposed on us. We went to the President and the Minister of Justice and said we need an SIU office in the Northern Cape. It's our request in our fight to strengthen our fight against corruption. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, to build a capable and developmental state is critical for the realization of people-centered development. Consequently, over the years, government has systematically introduced enabling levers, including legislation, policies, and programs. To ensure the acceleration of our initiatives to build capacity, we relaunched the Human Resource Development Council last year, which is a multi-stakeholder advisory board which consists of representatives from government, labor, civil society, aimed at increasing the skill base of our youth. Madam Speaker, as part of our commitment to ensure that government further insource security guards and cleaners, this year we have launched the first phase, which will see the migration of the security function from the provincial government under the Department of Transport, Safety and Liaison. This will be followed by incremental insourcing, which will soon see the advertising of 150 security officers posts. We are not going to retreat on the issue of insourcing of security services. And we've already started with the 4 departments where insourcing of our security guards has taken place, and we are continuing with this program. This month, 150 posts will be advertised for security guards. Our absorption rate has seen significant improvements as far as advertising and filling of vacant posts in the administration is concerned. In 2021, we had a vacancy rate of 13.1%. To date, our vacancy rate is standing at 7.8%, against the national norm of 10%, which augurs well for good governance in our province. And I'm happy to announce this because the Minister of Public Service is here, that the vacancy rate of the Northern Cape Provincial Administration is currently standing at 7.8. It could be the lowest in the country. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, as announced in the previous SOPA, a ministry responsible for seamless coordination of youth development is in place and hit the ground running. Significantly, a lot has been achieved since the establishment of the ministry. During this period, an intense benchmarking process was undertaken with the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities to streamline and reorientate the provincial operations. To this end, the Northern Cape Integrated Youth Development Strategy has been finalized. The strategy ensures coherent and meaningful implementation of the National Youth Policy. Several programs have been implemented that benefit our designated groups, such as the appointment of media attachers, voter lucha brigades, the introduction of Youth and Women Development Fund, and Unboxing Basha program. Madam Speaker, to deal with the social issues of gender-based violence and feminism, Honorable President referred to at the pandemic, we formed an interdepartmental task team to tackle teenage pregnancy, GBVF, and substance abuse in the province. And a strategy has been developed and adopted, which is currently being implemented. The program was established for the monitoring of GBVF hotspots, supported by intervention programs, and further expanded services to victims of gender-based violence in collaboration with NPA by establishing 2 more Tutizela care centers in Springbok, in Amakwa, and 1 in Uppington in the ZFM town. Madam Speaker, the third quarter of 2023-2024, sexual offenses decreased by 5.9% in the province. Attempted murder decreased by 2.6%, common assaults decreased by 5.6%, and rape decreased by 5.5%. Northern Cape is amongst the first provinces which have successfully managed to establish a victim empowerment shelter in all 5 districts of the province. 2 shelters were established in 2023, one in Namabib and the other in Rishi. We remain cognizant of the social challenges experienced by youth of the province and will draw our social partners, NGOs, and community structures to tackle these head-on. The fight against alcohol and drug abuse needs a multi-pronged approach, with efforts aimed at improving parenting practices, spiritual care, knowledge, influence, and a healthy mind. Developing youth and keeping them constructively engaged through social cohesion and developmental program will remain our focus. During this 6th administration, we have worked tirelessly to grow the economy. To this end, we have positioned the Northern Cape as the hub for renewable and green energy. Huge gains have been made in laying the foundation for the province to build a modern, growing, and successful province to improve the quality of lives of our people, which includes tackling the challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. We will continue, Honorable Speaker, to leverage these mammoth gains and advance people-centered development. We remain committed to investing in improving the quality of our health and education in the province as our apex programs. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, besides presenting to your good selves a picture of our major achievements and accomplishment for the past 3 decades of our emancipation, we have also presented factual statistics that attest to our collective determination to reduce the debilitating effects of unemployment. The Northern Cape has the second lowest unemployment in the country. Moreover, Madam Speaker, we presented a comprehensive details of our endeavors in growing the provincial economy. The information we have presented has been independently verified and will continue to engage in projects that will benefit the provincial economy. In our modernization efforts, the current administration, in close collaboration with our partners, we are succeeding in living up to our vision to build a modern, growing, and successful province, especially in the areas of broadband technology, e-health, e-commerce, and e-education. Madam Speaker, our increased funding and investment in both social and economic infrastructure has yielded positive results. Aligned to this is the sustained improvement in our grade 12 outcomes during our term in office. Ladies and gentlemen, the youth in our province continue to benefit from various projects and programs we have initiated. As a result of the training opportunities that we have provided to them, our youth are in a much better position to access gainful employment. We have made a commitment to work hard towards having a soccer team in the Premier Soccer League division in the Northern Cape. We could not achieve this, but we can report that we now have 2 teams in the National First Division, Hungry Lions and Uppington City. I'm told the management of both teams is here, of Hungry Lions and Uppington City. This is something that has never happened, that we've got 2 teams in the National First Division. We also have ladies team in the top echelon of ladies football in the country, the Richmond Ladies. For the past 2 years, we spent about 14 million rand in support of these 3 teams. Our dream to have a team in the PSL is very much alive. Madam Speaker, as part of maintaining and improving our public infrastructure, we will make 30 million rand available for the renovation of Maibuye Center, and will make further funds available for the upgrades at AR Abbas Stadium in Kimberley. We also introduced various measures to improve the audit outcomes and better audit results were achieved. We will not rest until every provincial government entity receives a clean audit. That includes the Department of Health. There can be no other way. I take this opportunity to thank the people of the Northern Cape for their faith and trust in this governing collective. And we remain confident that after 29 May, you will once more be and progressive government. Madam Speaker, a special word of gratitude goes to my family. They saw me hustling for this province to the best of my ability. I tried my best, and I accept that to some people, my best was not enough. But that does not mean that we must stop doing our best. With your support, I believe the province is on a much better development trajectory. Thanks again for your support and love. As I close, Madam Speaker, when I was at high school, I used to write poems. I lost my bundle of poems when I was at university. Since then, I got very discouraged and never wrote any thereafter. For the first time, Madam Speaker, on Tuesday morning, I summoned extraordinary guts to write one, and I did. And the title of the poem is In My Ungoodness. That's the title of the poem. After 30 years, after more than 30 years, I started writing poems again. This is the first. In My Ungoodness. That's the title of the poem. And I want to render it for you as I close. Mine was an ungood conception, but a beautiful moment for my mom to celebrate the fertility of her fragile eggs and the incubation strength of her godly womb. Birthing pains and splattering blood were beautiful signatures of life, as without pain and blood, there is no life. I was an ungood baby, but one that signified the unending symmetry of life, the captivating mixture of cries and smiles, the moment that glorifies the motherly duty of dipping one's hands in poo as a sign of intricate love. Mine was an ungood upbringing, but a fulfilling adolescent and beautiful life. Despite grinding poverty and hardship, I was showered with true love and affection from a lioness that never betrayed her duty of motherly care. In my ungoodness, I've learned that the beauty of life is not in worldly possessions, but innate capacity to love and appreciate small, priceless things like respect to others, humility, and compassion. I was an ungood student, but one that embraced the beauty of learning, the fruits of discipline and hard work. In my ungoodness, I shunned the tribulation of shortcuts, diligently completed tasks, and respected my elders. In my ungoodness, I started to feel the glory of achievements as I migrated seamlessly from one grade to the other. I was an ungood activist, but a caring individual that appreciated the different talents of his comrades for collective agency to change the world. In that ungoodness, I saw people working in teams, closing ranks, and prepared to sacrifice their lives for each other. Now, I am an ungood premier, but I appreciate every moment to serve the people of this beautiful province. In that ungoodness, on many occasions, I spoke to many vulnerable people in the Karoo, Kgalagadi, Kalahari, Namakwa, and Timan, who dutifully collected their grants every month, who otherwise would have nothing. In my ungoodness, I felt the pounding hearts of recipients of RDP houses. I witnessed the jubilation of rural children as they take their first steps into new state-of-the-art classrooms. I've seen the quizzical smiles of communities when for the first time they had piped water in their yards and decent sanitation. I've witnessed community excitements for new clinics. I've touched the pondering hearts of youngsters who just got their first employment. In my ungoodness, I can still feel the smell of newborns delivered in our public hospitals. Vivid in my memory is the futuristic smile of their mothers, telling a story that in this ungoodness, there is an unmatched good. I've seen the tears of joy of hopeless youngsters who were given opportunities to further their studies. In my ungoodness, I spoke to young addicts whose lives were changed for the better. My ungoodness is not badness, but is a warrior life of vigor in a world contrived with deceit, duplicity, and double dealing. My ungoodness is life of action in a world where human energy is colonized by fear of tomorrow. My ungoodness is life of movement in a world where everything tends to be immobile. My ungoodness is life of being abused in a world where idiots have stolen the primacy of public discourse. My ungoodness is a life of heavy lifting and strife. My ungoodness is a life of many failures that are spiced with profound successes. Simply put, my ungoodness is a life of ceaseless and sincere efforts to live meaningfully. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. That is a very beautiful poem. It's in fact a poem that is telling the story of your life. Honorable members and guests, we are still in proceeding with this house sitting.